What if your self-worth wasn't tied to what others think of you, your achievements, or the ever-changing circumstances of life? What if instead it came from a place so deep within you that no external force could ever shake it? This isn't just a hypothetical question, it's the foundation of Stoic philosophy, a timeless framework that teaches us how to build unshakable self-worth from the inside out. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most renowned Stoic thinkers, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." These words remind us that true self-worth isn't found in the approval of others or the pursuit of external success. It's cultivated through the strength of your thoughts, your resilience, and your ability to remain grounded in the present moment. In this video, we'll explore 22 Stoic affirmations, each rooted in principles like resilience, presence, and detachment. These affirmations aren't just words, they're tools to help you reframe your mindset, reclaim your inner power, and build a sense of self-worth that's unbreakable. Whether you're facing challenges, seeking clarity, or simply looking to strengthen your mental fortitude, these Stoic teachings offer a roadmap to a more grounded, confident, and self-assured version of yourself. So, if you're ready to embark on a transformative journey, let's dive in. Together, we'll uncover the wisdom of the Stoics and learn how to cultivate a sense of worth that no one and nothing can take away from you. Self-awareness is the foundation of self-worth. The Stoics understood that to build a life of meaning and resilience, you must first know yourself deeply, your strengths, your weaknesses, your desires, and your fears. They believed that self-awareness was not just about introspection, but about aligning your actions with your core values. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it simply, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This isn't just a call to dream big. It's a reminder to live intentionally, to let your values guide your choices rather than being swept along by external pressures or fleeting emotions. Think about your daily habits for a moment. Do they reflect what you truly value, or are they shaped by convenience, habit, or the expectations of others? The Stoics would argue that every action, no matter how small, is an opportunity to practice self-awareness. When you take a step back and reflect on your day, you might notice patterns, moments where you acted in alignment with your values and moments where you didn't. That reflection isn't about self-criticism, it's about growth. It's about recognizing where you can improve and taking small, deliberate steps to close the gap between who you are and who you aspire to be. So ask yourself, what values guide your decisions? Are they clear to you, or do they feel vague and undefined? The Stoics believed that clarity in your values is the first step toward building unshakable self-worth. When you know what you stand for, external judgments lose their power. You no longer measure your worth by the approval of others, but by the consistency of your actions with your principles. And that, in itself, is a profound form of self-respect. How often do you let others' opinions define you? It's a question worth asking, because if you're like most people, the answer might surprise you. The Stoics understood something profound. Our tendency to tie our self-worth to what others think of us is one of the greatest sources of suffering. But here's the good news: this is something we have the power to change. Cognitive detachment, a core Stoic practice, teaches us to separate our sense of self from external judgments, allowing us to focus on what truly matters, our internal growth and character. Take Seneca, for example. He once wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about that for a moment. How much of your stress or self-doubt comes not from actual events, but from the stories you tell yourself about what others might be thinking? The Stoics weren't suggesting we ignore feedback entirely. After all, constructive criticism can help us grow, but they emphasized the importance of not letting external opinions control our emotions or dictate our self-worth. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine you're at work and a colleague criticizes your project. It's easy to spiral into self-doubt, replaying their words in your mind and questioning your abilities. But what if, instead of letting their opinion define you, you paused and asked yourself, is this feedback useful? Does it align with my values and goals? If the answer is yes, you can use it to improve without taking it personally. If not, you can let it go, recognizing that their opinion doesn't have to shape how you see yourself. So here's a question for you. What external opinions do you need to let go of? Maybe it's the fear of what others think about your career choices, your appearance, or even your personal beliefs. The Stoic practice of cognitive detachment isn't about becoming indifferent to the world. It's about reclaiming your power to decide what truly matters to you. When you stop letting others' judgments define you, you create space for genuine self-worth to grow. And that, more than anything, is the foundation of an unshakable sense of self. Your power lies in your choices, not your circumstances. This is one of the core principles of Stoicism, and it's a concept that can transform the way you approach life. Think about it. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. This idea, known as the dichotomy of control, was central to the teachings of Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers. He famously said, "Some things are within our power while others are not." And in that simple statement lies a profound truth, one that can help you build unshakable self-worth. Let's break this down. Imagine you're facing a job loss. It's a difficult situation, no doubt. You might feel stress, fear, or even anger. But here's the question: what can you actually control in this scenario? You can't control the decision made by your employer. You can't control the economy, but you can control how you react. You can choose to update your resume, network with others, or even take it as an opportunity to explore a new career path. The key is to focus your energy on what's within your power, rather than wasting it on what's outside of it. This doesn't mean ignoring your emotions or pretending everything is fine. Stoicism isn't about suppressing feelings, it's about acknowledging them and then choosing how to move forward. When you shift your focus to what you can control, you reclaim your agency. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstance and start feeling like the author of your own story. And that's where true self-worth begins to grow. So take a moment to reflect. What's one area of your life where you've been focusing on what's outside your control? What small step could you take today to shift your attention to what you can influence? Remember, it's not about fixing everything at once, it's about starting where you are and taking one step at a time. That's the Stoic way. Resilience is the cornerstone of self-worth, and few figures embody this truth better than Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. Despite ruling during one of the most turbulent periods in Roman history, marked by wars, plagues, and political unrest, Aurelius faced every challenge with unwavering composure. He didn't see hardship as something to avoid, but as a teacher, a force that could shape him into a stronger, wiser version of himself. His writings in Meditations reveal a mindset that embraced difficulty as an essential part of growth. As he put it, what stands in the way becomes the way. This Stoic principle, often summarized as "the obstacle is the way," is a powerful reminder that challenges aren't just stumbling blocks, they're stepping stones. Think of it this way: when you encounter a problem, your natural instinct might be to resist it, to feel defeated or frustrated. But what if you shifted your perspective? What if, instead of seeing the obstacle as something holding you back, you saw it as a chance to build resilience, to prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought? Take failure, for example. Imagine you worked hard on a project, poured your energy into it, only to see it fall short of your expectations. It's easy to feel like that failure defines you, like it's a reflection of your worth. But what if you chose to see it differently? What if you viewed it as a lesson, an opportunity to learn, adapt, and come back stronger? That shift in mindset doesn't just help you bounce back. It deepens your sense of self-worth because it reminds you that your value isn't tied to the outcome. It's tied to your ability to rise, to keep moving forward no matter what. So, here's a question to consider. What's one challenge you're facing right now? Maybe it's a difficult relationship, a career setback, or even a personal goal that feels out of reach. How can you reframe it? Instead of seeing it as a barrier, how can you see it as a path forward? Remember, resilience isn't about avoiding pain, it's about finding strength within it. And every time you do, you're not just overcoming an obstacle, you're building a stronger, more unshakable sense of who you are. Are you living authentically? This is a question the Stoics would ask us to reflect on deeply. At the heart of Stoicism is the belief in living in accordance with nature, not just the natural world around us, but also our own inner nature. The Stoics taught that true fulfillment comes from aligning who we are with the way the universe operates, embracing both our strengths and limitations. As Seneca once said, true happiness is to enjoy the present. This isn't about chasing fleeting pleasures or external validation. It's about finding peace in what is real, meaningful, and within our control. Think about it. How often do we complicate our lives by chasing things that don't truly matter? The Stoics believed in simplifying life, stripping away the unnecessary, and focusing on what aligns with our core values. Imagine someone who spends their days chasing wealth, status, or approval, only to feel empty and disconnected. Now, picture someone who lives with intention, dedicating their energy to relationships, personal growth, and contributing to the world. Which one feels more authentic? Which one feels more aligned with nature, both their own and the universal order? Living authentically, according to the Stoics, means understanding our role in the grand scheme of things. It's about accepting what we cannot change while taking responsibility for what we can. It's about finding harmony between our actions and our values, between our desires and the natural flow of life. So ask yourself, what does living authentically mean to you? What would it look like to let go of the noise and focus on what truly resonates with your soul? This is the Stoic path to self-worth, a life lived in alignment with nature, unshakable and true. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. It's a simple yet profound practice that the Stoics understood deeply. They believed that by focusing on what we have rather than what we lack, we can cultivate a sense of contentment and inner peace, no matter the external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most famous practitioners, once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This daily reminder wasn't just poetic, it was a deliberate exercise in reframing his perspective. By starting his day with gratitude, he anchored himself in the present moment, recognizing the value of even the simplest things. The Stoics didn't wait for grand achievements or perfect conditions to feel grateful. Instead, they found abundance in the ordinary, the warmth of the sun, the taste of food, the company of loved ones. This mindset allowed them to detach from the endless chase for more and instead appreciate what was already within their grasp. And this is something we can practice too. One practical way to bring Stoic gratitude into your life is by keeping a gratitude journal. Each day, take a moment to write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be extraordinary sometimes. It's the small, overlooked details that hold the most meaning. Over time, this practice trains your mind to seek out the good, even in challenging moments. So let's pause for a moment and ask, what are 3 things you're grateful for today? It could be as simple as a kind word from a friend, a moment of quiet reflection, or even the opportunity to learn something new. By shifting your focus to these moments of gratitude, you're not just acknowledging the good in your life, you're building a foundation of resilience and contentment that can carry you through even the toughest days. What would you do if you knew today was your last day? It's a heavy question, but it's one the Stoics asked themselves regularly. They believed that embracing the impermanence of life wasn't a source of fear, it was a tool for clarity. By acknowledging that everything, including our own lives, is temporary, we're forced to confront what truly matters. As Epictetus once said, keep death and exile before your eyes. It's not about dwelling on the morbid, but about using the awareness of life's fragility to strip away distractions and focus on what's essential. Think about it. If you knew your time was limited, would you waste it holding onto grudges, worrying about things outside your control, or chasing things that don't align with your values? Probably not. The Stoics saw impermanence as a reminder to let go of what doesn't serve us. Take grudges, for example. Holding on to anger or resentment might feel justified in the moment, but when you step back and consider how fleeting life is, does it really make sense to spend your energy that way? Letting go isn't about excusing someone's actions, it's about freeing yourself from the weight of negativity so you can focus on what truly enriches your life. So, what would change for you if you embraced this mindset? Would you approach your relationships differently, spend your time more intentionally? The beauty of impermanence is that it pushes us to live with purpose. It's not about living in fear of the end, but living fully in the present, knowing that every moment is a gift. This is the Stoic way, to use the awareness of life's fleeting nature as a guiding light, helping us prioritize what's meaningful and let go of what isn't. The next time you feel stuck or overwhelmed, ask yourself, if today were my last, would this really matter? The answer might surprise you, and it might just change how you choose to live. Self-discipline is the bridge between goals and self-worth. The Stoics understood this deeply, teaching that mastering our desires is not about deprivation but about achieving true inner freedom. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This isn't just a clever phrase, it's a call to examine where our cravings pull us away from what truly matters. When we chase endless wants, we lose sight of the contentment that comes from within. Self-discipline then becomes a tool for reclaiming that peace. Think about the modern world for a moment. How often do we find ourselves distracted by the noise of notifications, the lure of indulgence, or the pull of procrastination? These distractions might seem small, but they chip away at our ability to focus on what we truly value. The Stoic practice of self-discipline isn't about punishing yourself, it's about aligning your actions with your deeper purpose. It's choosing to work on that project instead of scrolling through social media, or opting for a healthy meal over an impulsive snack. These small, consistent choices build the foundation of self-worth because they prove to yourself that you are in control. So let's pause and reflect. What area of your life needs more discipline? Is it your time, your habits, or perhaps your emotional reactions? The Stoics would remind us that every moment is an opportunity to exercise self-mastery. By doing so, we not only move closer to our goals but also cultivate a quiet confidence that comes from knowing we can rely on ourselves. Self-discipline, in this way, becomes more than a practice, it becomes a path to freedom. What if discomfort wasn't something to avoid but your greatest teacher? This is a core idea in Stoicism, one that challenges us to rethink how we approach the things we fear or resist. The Stoics believed that discomfort isn't an obstacle to happiness or success, it's the very path to growth. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the challenges we face aren't roadblocks, they're opportunities to build strength, resilience, and clarity. Think about it. When was the last time you truly grew as a person? Chances are it wasn't during a moment of ease or comfort. Growth happens when we step into the unknown, when we push past our limits, and when we face what makes us uncomfortable. For example, imagine someone who's afraid of public speaking. Avoiding it might feel safer in the short term, but stepping onto that stage, despite the fear, is where real transformation begins. The discomfort of that moment isn't just a hurdle, it's a teacher showing them they're capable of more than they realized. So, what discomfort are you avoiding that could lead to growth? Maybe it's a difficult conversation you've been putting off, a new skill you're hesitant to learn, or even a habit you know you need to change. The Stoics would remind us that these moments of unease aren't something to dread, they're invitations to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. By embracing discomfort, we don't just endure life's challenges, we use them as stepping stones to become the best version of ourselves. Presence is the key to self-worth. The Stoics understood this deeply, teaching that true richness comes not from external possessions but from the ability to fully inhabit the present moment. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions but in having few wants." This isn't just about material things, it's about recognizing that our greatest resource is the here and now. When we're fully present, we're free from the distractions of past regrets or future anxieties, and that's where our sense of worth truly grows. The Stoics practiced mindfulness long before it became a modern buzzword. They believed that by anchoring ourselves in the present, we gain clarity, perspective, and control over our thoughts. Think about it. How often do we let our minds wander, replaying old mistakes or worrying about what's to come? The Stoics would argue that this mental clutter robs us of our power. Instead, they encouraged simple, deliberate acts of awareness, like mindful breathing. Just taking a moment to focus on your breath, to feel the air entering and leaving your body, can ground you in the present and remind you of your inner strength. But mindfulness isn't just about sitting quietly. It's about bringing that same level of attention to everything you do, whether it's having a conversation, eating a meal, or even walking down the street. When you're fully engaged in the moment, you're not just living, you're thriving. So how can you bring more presence into your daily life? Start small. Maybe it's pausing to notice the details around you, or setting aside just 5 minutes a day to sit in stillness. The more you practice, the more you'll find that presence becomes a natural, empowering part of who you are. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every moment you choose to be present is a step toward building unshakable self-worth, because you're reminding yourself that you are enough, right here, right now. And that's a lesson the Stoics would wholeheartedly endorse. How does humility strengthen your self-worth? At first glance, humility might seem like it diminishes your confidence, but the Stoics saw it as a powerful tool for building unshakable self-worth. They believed that true strength comes not from boasting or seeking validation, but from recognizing your limitations and embracing the lessons life offers. Humility, in their eyes, was the gateway to wisdom, a way to see yourself clearly, free from ego or pride. As Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity." It's through facing challenges and admitting our mistakes that we grow stronger and more resilient. Think about a time when you made a mistake. Maybe it was at work, in a relationship, or even in pursuing a personal goal. Instead of brushing it aside or blaming others, what if you paused and asked yourself, what can I learn from this? Stoicism teaches us that humility allows us to approach failure with curiosity rather than shame. It's not about beating yourself up, it's about seeing every setback as an opportunity to improve. When you're humble enough to acknowledge your flaws, you open the door to growth and self-respect. Humility also helps us connect with others on a deeper level. When we let go of the need to prove ourselves, we create space for genuine relationships and mutual understanding. It's a reminder that we're all human, all imperfect, and all capable of learning from one another. So, how can humility help you grow? By teaching you to value progress over perfection, to embrace your humanity, and to find strength in vulnerability. It's not about shrinking yourself, it's about expanding your capacity for self-awareness and resilience. And that, in itself, is a profound act of self-worth. Acceptance is the first step to peace. This simple truth lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy, teaching us that resisting what we cannot change only leads to frustration and suffering. The Stoics believed that life is filled with events beyond our control, loss, failure, even the actions of others, and that true freedom comes not from trying to change these things, but from accepting them. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." These words remind us that acceptance isn't about giving up. It's about finding strength in surrender, about choosing to focus on what we can influence rather than wasting energy on what we cannot. Think about it this way. Imagine you're caught in a rainstorm without an umbrella. You could rage against the weather, cursing the clouds and wishing the sun would appear. But no amount of frustration will stop the rain. Instead, accepting the storm allows you to adapt, to find shelter, to enjoy the sound of the rain, or even to embrace the moment as it is. This is the essence of Stoic acceptance. It doesn't mean you like the rain, but it means you stop fighting it. And in that shift, you find peace. Consider a more personal example: dealing with loss. Whether it's the end of a relationship, the passing of a loved one, or a missed opportunity, loss is an inevitable part of life. The Stoics would argue that resisting the pain of loss only prolongs the suffering. Acceptance, on the other hand, allows us to process the grief, to honor what was, and to move forward with clarity and resilience. It's not about forgetting or dismissing the pain, but about acknowledging it fully and choosing to live with it in a way that doesn't consume us. So here's a question to reflect on. What can you accept today to find peace? Is there a situation in your life where you've been pushing against the inevitable? Perhaps it's a mistake you can't undo, a person whose actions you can't control, or a circumstance that feels unfair. Take a moment to consider how acceptance might shift your perspective. By letting go of what you can't change, you create space to focus on what truly matters: your own thoughts, your own actions, and your own growth. And in that space, you'll find not just peace, but the unshakable self-worth that comes from living in alignment with reality. Are you valuing your effort or just the results? This is a question the Stoics would ask us to reflect on deeply. In a world that often measures worth by external achievements, titles, awards, or social recognition, the Stoics remind us that true value lies in the effort we put forth, not the outcomes we achieve. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it this way: "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." What he's really saying is that our power lies in our choices, our actions, and our mindset, not in the uncontrollable results that follow. Think about it this way: when you pour your energy into a passion project, do you judge your success solely by how it's received by others? Or do you take pride in the discipline, creativity, and persistence you brought to the table? The Stoics would argue that the latter is where true fulfillment is found. External outcomes, whether praise, criticism, or indifference, are ultimately beyond our control. But the effort, that's entirely ours to own. Let's say you're working on a creative endeavor, like writing a book or starting a small business. The Stoic approach would be to focus on doing the work with integrity and dedication, regardless of whether it becomes a bestseller or a viral success. Why? Because the effort itself is a reflection of your character. It's where virtue lives. When you shift your focus from the outcome to the process, you free yourself from the anxiety of chasing external validation. Instead, you find meaning in the act of striving, growing, and giving your best. So, how can you apply this Stoic principle in your own life? Start by asking yourself, am I putting my energy into things I can control, or am I obsessing over results I can't guarantee? When you catch yourself worrying about the outcome, take a step back and remind yourself that your effort is what truly matters. Celebrate the small victories along the way. The hours you spent refining your craft, the courage it took to start, the resilience you showed when things got tough. These are the moments that define you, not the external applause. By embracing this mindset, you'll not only build unshakable self-worth, but also cultivate a sense of peace. After all, when your worth isn't tied to the whims of the world, you become untouchable. And that's the kind of freedom the Stoics were pointing us toward all along. Self-compassion is the foundation of self-worth. It's not about indulging in self-pity or avoiding responsibility, but about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a close friend. The Stoics understood this deeply, balancing their renowned self-discipline with a genuine sense of care for their own well-being. Seneca once wrote, "Be kind to yourself, for you are your own longest companion." This simple yet profound statement reminds us that the relationship we have with ourselves is the most enduring one we'll ever have. How we speak to ourselves, how we handle our mistakes, and how we nurture our growth all shape the quality of that relationship. Take, for example, the inevitable missteps we all make. Imagine you've made a mistake at work or in a personal relationship. The Stoic approach isn't to berate yourself endlessly or wallow in guilt. Instead, it's to acknowledge the error, learn from it, and move forward with a sense of forgiveness. This isn't about excusing poor behavior. It's about recognizing that growth comes from understanding, not self-flagellation. Think about it. How often do you extend patience and compassion to others, only to hold yourself to an impossibly high standard? The Stoics would remind you that you're human too, and deserving of the same grace. So how can you show yourself more compassion? Start by paying attention to your inner dialogue. Are you quick to criticize yourself for every small misstep? Do you hold on to past mistakes as if they define you? Begin to reframe those thoughts. Remind yourself that imperfection is part of the human experience. When you stumble, ask yourself, what would I say to a friend in this situation? Then say those words to yourself. Over time, this practice builds not just self-compassion, but a stronger, more resilient sense of self-worth. After all, as Seneca reminds us, you're the one person you'll spend your entire life with, so make that relationship a kind and supportive one. What can you let go of to find clarity? This question lies at the heart of Stoic simplicity, a principle that encourages us to strip away the unnecessary and focus on what truly matters. The Stoics believed that life's greatest joys and deepest truths are often found in the simplest of things. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most revered figures, once wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life." These words remind us that happiness isn't about accumulating more, but about appreciating what we already have and removing the distractions that cloud our mind. Think about your surroundings for a moment. When your space is cluttered, it's harder to think clearly or feel at ease. The same applies to your life. When you're juggling too many commitments, chasing endless desires, or drowning in noise, it becomes nearly impossible to focus on what's truly important. The Stoics understood this, which is why they championed simplicity as a path to clarity and peace. Consider decluttering your physical space as a starting point. A clean, organized environment can have a profound impact on your mental state. But simplicity goes beyond just your home or workspace. It's about examining your habits, relationships, and even your thoughts. Are there things in your life that no longer serve you? Are there commitments that drain your energy without adding value? What can you simplify to create more room for what truly matters? The beauty of this principle is that it's deeply personal. What one person might simplify, another might cherish. The key is to reflect on what brings you fulfillment and let go of the rest. By embracing simplicity, you're not losing anything, you're gaining clarity, freedom, and the ability to focus on what truly enriches your life. So, take a moment to ask yourself, what can you simplify today? Every challenge is a chance to grow. This simple yet profound idea lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that adversity isn't something to be avoided or feared. It's a teacher, a guide, and an opportunity to strengthen your character. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it this way: difficulties show what men are. In other words, it's not the challenge itself that defines you, but how you respond to it. Think about it this way: when life throws obstacles in your path, it's easy to feel frustrated or overwhelmed. But what if you could shift your perspective? What if, instead of seeing a setback as a roadblock, you saw it as a stepping stone? Imagine you've just lost a job you thought was secure. At first, it might feel like a crushing blow. But through the lens of Stoicism, this could also be an opportunity to reassess your skills, explore new passions, or even take a bold step toward a career you've always dreamed of. The challenge, in this case, becomes a catalyst for growth, a chance to build resilience and discover new possibilities. The Stoics didn't just preach this idea, they lived it. Marcus Aurelius, for example, faced countless hardships as a Roman emperor, wars, betrayals, and personal losses. Yet, he consistently reminded himself that these challenges were opportunities to practice virtue, to strengthen his patience, and to lead with wisdom. He didn't curse his circumstances, he embraced them as part of his journey. So, here's a question to reflect on: how can you see your current challenge as an opportunity? Maybe it's a difficult relationship, a financial struggle, or a personal goal that feels out of reach. Instead of letting it weigh you down, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this situation help me grow stronger, wiser, or more compassionate? By reframing adversity as a teacher, you not only navigate life's storms with greater ease, you also unlock the potential to transform setbacks into stepping stones. And that, in the end, is the essence of self-worth, knowing that no matter what life throws at you, you have the power to rise stronger on the other side. How often do you find yourself caught up in the past, replaying old mistakes, or anxiously fixating on what might happen tomorrow? It's easy to lose sight of the present moment, but the Stoics believed that true peace and self-worth come from grounding ourselves in the here and now. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most influential thinkers, put it this way: the greatest obstacle to living is expectancy. What he meant is that when we're always waiting for the future, whether it's a better job, a perfect relationship, or some distant goal, we miss the life that's unfolding right in front of us. Think about it. How much of your day do you spend fully engaged with what you're doing? Or are you distracted, mentally jumping between yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's worries? The Stoics taught that the present moment is all we truly have. The past is gone and the future is uncertain, but the now, that's where your power lies. It's where you can make choices, take action, and find joy in the simple, everyday details of life. Here's an example. Imagine you're walking through a park. Instead of scrolling through your phone or planning your next meeting, what if you took a moment to notice the way the sunlight filters through the trees or the sound of leaves crunching under your feet? These small, mindful acts of presence can shift your perspective and help you reconnect with the richness of life. The Stoics didn't just preach this idea, they lived it. They understood that being present isn't just about relaxation. It's about reclaiming your focus and building a deeper sense of self-worth. So, how can you practice this today? Start small. Choose one moment in your day, whether it's a meal, a conversation, or even just a quiet pause, and commit to being fully there. Notice the textures, the sounds, the emotions. When your mind starts to wander, gently bring it back to the present. It's not about perfection, it's about practice. Over time, this habit can transform how you relate to yourself and the world around you, helping you build an unshakable sense of worth rooted in the here and now. Inner peace is the ultimate form of self-worth. It's not something you stumble upon by chance. It's a practice, a deliberate choice to master your mind and emotions. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that true tranquility comes from within, not from external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What he meant was this: your inner world, your thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions shapes your experience of life. If your mind is cluttered with worry, anger, or fear, your soul reflects that chaos. But if you cultivate calm, clarity, and focus, your inner world becomes a sanctuary of peace. Think of it like this: your mind is a garden. You can either let weeds of negativity grow unchecked, or you can tend to it daily, planting seeds of gratitude, acceptance, and purpose. The Stoics didn't wait for life to be perfect to find peace. They created it within themselves, no matter what was happening around them. One practical way to do this is through meditation. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Just a few minutes of stillness each day, focusing on your breath, can help you detach from the noise and reconnect with your inner calm. But here's the real question: what thoughts are coloring your soul right now? Are they uplifting and empowering, or do they drag you down? The Stoics would remind you that you have the power to choose. Your thoughts aren't facts, they're just ideas passing through. You get to decide which ones to keep and which ones to let go. And when you start to master this skill, you'll find that inner peace isn't just a fleeting feeling. It's a steady, unshakable foundation of self-worth. How do you handle life's inevitable changes? It's a question we all grapple with at some point, whether it's a sudden shift in our career, a move to a new city, or even changes in relationships. For the Stoics, change wasn't something to fear or resist. It was a fundamental part of life, as natural as the seasons turning. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "No great thing is created suddenly." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that growth and transformation take time, and change is the very soil in which progress takes root. Think about it. Every significant achievement, every meaningful milestone comes from adapting to new circumstances. Imagine starting a new job. At first, everything feels unfamiliar: the routines, the people, the expectations. It's easy to feel overwhelmed or out of place. But over time, you adapt, you learn, you grow. That discomfort you felt at the beginning, it becomes the foundation for your confidence and competence. The Stoics would argue that this is exactly how life works. Change isn't the enemy, it's the catalyst for becoming who you're meant to be. So how can you embrace change in your own life? Start by shifting your perspective. Instead of seeing change as a disruption, view it as an opportunity. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this challenge help me grow? By reframing change as a teacher rather than a threat, you begin to approach it with curiosity instead of fear. And when you do that, you'll find that even the most unexpected shifts can lead to something extraordinary. The key is to lean into the process, trusting that every step, no matter how uncertain, is moving you forward. True wealth lies not in the size of your bank account, but in the strength of your character. The Stoics believed that material possessions could never bring lasting fulfillment. Instead, they taught that virtue, integrity, and moral excellence were the true measures of a rich life. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it this way: "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." In other words, poverty isn't about what you lack, it's about the endless desire for more, a hunger that can never be satisfied. Think about it. How often do we chase after money, status, or possessions, only to find that once we have them, they don't bring the happiness we expected? The Stoics argued that real wealth comes from cultivating virtues like honesty, courage, and wisdom. For example, imagine being faced with a choice. You could take a shortcut that guarantees profit but compromises your integrity, or you could take the harder, more honest path. The Stoic would choose honesty every time because they know that no amount of money can replace the peace of mind that comes from living in alignment with your values. This isn't to say that Stoics rejected wealth entirely. They simply saw it as indifferent, something that could be used well or poorly depending on the person. What mattered most was how you used what you had. Did your actions reflect your principles? Did your choices build your character or erode it? These are the questions Stoics ask themselves daily. So let's turn this inward. What virtues do you value most? Is it kindness, resilience, or perhaps fairness? Take a moment to reflect on how those virtues show up in your life. Are you prioritizing them over external rewards? Because here's the truth. When you focus on building your character, you're investing in something no one can take away from you. That's the kind of wealth that lasts. How can serving others strengthen your self-worth? The Stoics believed that true fulfillment comes not from what we take, but from what we give. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee." In other words, our well-being is tied to the well-being of those around us. When we contribute to something larger than ourselves, we tap into a deeper sense of purpose and meaning. Think about volunteering at a local shelter or mentoring someone in need. These acts of service don't just help others, they remind us of our own value and capability. By giving our time, skills, or compassion, we affirm that we have something meaningful to offer the world. This isn't about grand gestures. Even small, consistent acts of kindness can ripple outward, creating a positive impact. The Stoics taught that self-worth isn't about accumulating wealth, status, or recognition. It's about aligning your actions with your values and recognizing your role in the larger human community. So ask yourself, how can you serve others today? Maybe it's lending a listening ear to a friend, offering support to a colleague, or simply being present for someone who needs it. When you step outside of yourself and focus on contributing to others, you'll find that your sense of self-worth grows stronger, rooted not in what you have, but in who you are and what you give. The Stoic practice of reflecting on mortality, known as Memento Mori, remember you must die, is not meant to be morbid or discouraging. Instead, it's a powerful tool to help us focus on what truly matters. The Stoics believed that by keeping the inevitability of death in mind, we could live more intentionally and free ourselves from distractions that don't serve our greater purpose. As Seneca once said, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing." This isn't about fear, it's about clarity. When we recognize that our time is limited, we're more likely to prioritize relationships, meaningful work, and personal growth over trivial concerns or societal pressures. Imagine this: you wake up one day and realize you only have a year left to live. What would you stop doing? What would you start? This isn't just a hypothetical exercise. It's a way to cut through the noise and get to the heart of what truly matters to you. For the Stoics, reflecting on mortality wasn't about dwelling on the end, but about living more fully in the present. It's a reminder to let go of grudges, to mend broken relationships, and to pursue the things that bring genuine fulfillment. So take a moment to ask yourself, if you truly remembered your mortality, what would you do differently? Would you spend less time chasing approval or material success, and more time nurturing the relationships and passions that light you up? This practice isn't about fear, it's about freedom. By embracing the reality of our finite time, we can live with greater purpose, gratitude, and authenticity. And that, in itself, is a profound form of self-worth. As we bring this journey through the 22 Stoic affirmations to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on how these principles work together to shape an unshakable foundation of self-worth. Each affirmation serves as a stepping stone, guiding us toward resilience, presence, and a deeper understanding of ourselves. From embracing impermanence to finding strength in adversity, these timeless truths remind us that our worth isn't tied to external validation, but rooted in how we perceive and respond to the world around us. Think about it, resilience isn't just about bouncing back from hardship. It's about recognizing that challenges are opportunities to grow. Presence isn't merely about being in the moment, it's about fully engaging with life, free from the distractions of regret or anxiety. And self-awareness, it's the quiet voice that helps us navigate our emotions, decisions, and actions with clarity and purpose. Together, these themes weave a tapestry of inner strength, empowering us to face life's uncertainties with confidence and grace. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This simple yet profound truth encapsulates the essence of Stoicism. When we cultivate thoughts that align with these affirmations, we transform not only how we see ourselves, but also how we interact with the world. It's a reminder that our inner world shapes our outer reality, and that self-worth begins with the stories we tell ourselves. So, as you move forward, I encourage you to pause and reflect. Which of these affirmations resonates most with you? How can you weave them into your daily life? Whether it's finding peace in the present moment, embracing change, or practicing gratitude, each step you take is a testament to your growth. And now I'd love to hear from you. How have these Stoic principles impacted your journey? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's create a space for learning and connection. And if you found value in this exploration of Stoicism, consider subscribing for more insights and tools to help you live a life of purpose and resilience. Remember, the path to unshakable self-worth begins with a single step, and that step is yours to